Welcome to the most important week of the year for the podcast industry. Welcome to Podcast Movement 2025.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darrell. I am the president of Pro Podcast Solutions. I've been a podcaster for over 15 years and a podcast service provider for over 10 years now. Loving you guys getting the headphones. Are the headphones okay? Good? Okay, good. So today, I'm going to work with you to help give you a system and some tools that will help you get on top of your content and get ahead of it rather than trying to struggle like so many podcasters do to try to get their content out each week. When you walk away today, you're going to get a whole toolkit that will help you get on top of your content. So stick with me to the end. We've got a link where you can download all those resources. The biggest struggle with growing a podcast, everyone's trying to grow their podcast, but the biggest struggle is being consistent with your publishing. And consistent publishing is the strongest predictor of podcast growth. How many of you guys are weekly podcasters? More frequently than every week? Okay. Every other week? Okay, and monthly? Monthly? Okay. So we've helped hundreds of podcasters over the last decade. What we see is those who are able to consistently put out content every single week or faster is the number one thing you can do to help grow your audience. Every other week or bi-weekly is good, not as good. For those of you who are monthly, I want to challenge you to do everything you can to get content out more quickly. We've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of monthly podcasters over the years, and I can think of one who has been successful long-term with their podcast, just trying to shoot straight with you guys that are monthly. The struggle is real, I get it, but if you can push yourself to try to come up with content or get content out more frequently, then you're going to help yourself in that way. And so that's what we're going to work on today, is trying to get the ability to create content and get it published more quickly. A lot of people find themselves in this scenario. You're panicking every Sunday night going, what do I talk about tomorrow, or whatever that night is where you've got to get that content out. And professional podcasters are weeks ahead, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ahead. And that is what's going to build their content and their brand. And again, that's where we're going to move you. We're going to move you today from that panic state to that weeks ahead state. Doesn't that sound amazing to be weeks ahead, right? Okay. Today you're going to live with a 90-day system that will end content panic. And this is not a 90-day system that you're going to figure out in 90 days. It's going to take you 90 days to even get involved with it or get going with it. This is a system where you can take action and start today. And by 90 days, you are completely absorbed into the new system. You've got all the wrinkles ironed out, and it's a good system. It's something you can start taking action on today. I want to introduce you to Suzanne. Suzanne is someone that I think a lot of you are going to identify with in some way or another. I certainly identify with her. She's in the marketing space. She's been a marketing consultant for a dozen years. Her vision was to start a weekly podcast. New episodes would come out every week with these core goals. She wanted to become a thought leader in her space. She wanted to gain clients through her podcast. And she also wanted to get on stages at events and become known as a speaker in her space. And we've helped hundreds of clients, as I said, over the years, and these are probably the most 3 common goals that we've seen for podcasters. One of these 3 or all 3 of these are things that they're looking for. And you may look at this and go, I'm not in that kind of space. That's not my category of podcasting. I'm not trying to do these things. The system that I'm going to give you today will work. It's category agnostic. So whatever your niche you're in or category you're in, don't worry if you don't identify with Suzanne in those ways. But just to kind of give you an idea of Suzanne, that's what her idea was for her podcast. And so this is some more detail on her podcast. Marketing Excellence is the name. She had dozens of ideas. I don't know if you identify with this. I certainly did. I had all these ideas for my podcast, and I wrote them down in a journal. I'm a physical paper kind of guy, and she is too. And so she had all these dozens of ideas, which at the time, before she launched her podcast, seemed like an endless supply of ideas. And so that's where she was. And then she looked at demographics and psychographics for her audience. And I want to stress the importance of psychographics here. A lot of people fail to look at the psychographics of their ideal listener. And if you haven't done that, One of the resources you're going to get is a tool that will help you do that. She looked at both the demographics and the psychographics, and these are important. These are really super important, and we'll talk more about these. But her audience demographic was female, 28 to 40, mid-management, earning 65 to 90K a year. And as far as those psychographics, these are really important. Career-driven, always learning, and they feel pressure. And that pressure could be coming from a variety of ways. Maybe it's just the pressure of the further you go up the ladder, the fewer rungs there are, and so there's that competition between her and her colleagues of who's going to get that next spot. Maybe it's being a female in a male-dominated world, and so there's all that pressure as well. Or maybe it's just her self-pressure of wanting to excel and do her best. All those pressures are real, and those are the psychographic makeup of her listener. And so really what we have here is Suzanne 5 to 10 years ago. So her audience is herself 5 to 10 years ago. And we see this very common with podcasters as well. Their ideal listener is in a position that they once were, and they want to help them succeed and achieve their goals. So that's how it started. This is how it's going. Suzanne's frustrated, and I can identify with this. I've been there. Maybe you can too. Her content, that initial list of ideas that she had, it's running dry. Maybe she looks at that list and she goes, what was I thinking when I wrote this down? This is a terrible idea. Or maybe she didn't write enough detail and she doesn't even know what she meant when she wrote that idea down. And so those dozens of ideas, she's used many of them, and the ones that remain don't seem that useful. And so that's a challenge. The schedule, because of that, she's scrambling to get episodes out each week. She's 18 months into her podcast. She's missed a few weeks. She's been late on a few more. And so she's finding herself constantly chasing industry trends. Rather than being ahead of the game, she's behind it. That's forcing her to put out content that she's not fully happy with, doesn't represent her best, and she doesn't feel like it helps her audience in the way that she envisioned. And so she feels like she's failing a little bit. She's burning out. She's on the path to maybe stopping her podcast for those reasons. And maybe you feel like that's where you're at too. Maybe you're burning out. Maybe you are burnt out. You feel like you're approaching burnout. If you can identify with any of these things, you're in the right spot. We've got some content that's going to help you with these. Okay, so the biggest secret that will transform your ability to create content is creating content pillars, okay? We're going to talk a lot about this today. Content pillars eliminate the Sunday night panic forever. They turn your podcast from weekly chaos into a strategic content machine. When I created this system for myself, before I started telling others about it, I was surprised at how this opened up the pathways of ideation and content creation. Creating the content pillars was like magic. Content pillars are 3 to 5 core topics that your podcast always covers. And these are your show's foundation that makes episode planning effortless. We're going to give you some examples so you can kind of see how this works. These are Suzanne's pillars. And you can see the subcategories. We're going to focus mainly on the categories, but I want you to see the subcategories too so that you have an idea of how they kind of foster into each other. So her 4 pillars are strategy and planning, client success stories, industry trends and tools, and professional development. So let's key in on that last one there, professional development. Remember when we were talking about her psychographics a few minutes ago? This is where you see the importance of psychographics come together with your content pillar. In her professional development, she's looking at leadership and growth and business skills so that she can help her listeners go up that ladder and achieve the success that they're hoping for. And so you can see how the content pillar really helps. It gets identified through those planning processes of creating your ideal listener, what their demographics are and what their psychographics are. Once you have these content pillars created, then you can begin to ideate into each of those content pillars. We'll walk through that as we wrap up today, so we'll talk more about these, but these are the critical piece of getting ahead with your content creation. Let's go through a couple of other examples, because I know not all of you are in the marketing space like Suzanne is, and I want to help maybe help you understand this a little bit more. So this is a healthcare podcast. Their 4 pillars are operational excellence, staff management, culture. Culture is a huge thing in the healthcare space, as is technology and innovation, but maybe the biggest one there is that compliance and risk management. Huge, obviously, everyone in the healthcare space has to be mindful of those things. And so in a healthcare podcast, these are some of the pillars that they might choose. And then another popular category is real estate. So they might choose lead gen and prospecting, sales and negotiation. That's a huge skill for realtors. Business ops and systems. Every business needs to have good systems. A lot of people get into real estate, they don't have those skill sets, and so they're helping to equip their audience with those. And then market knowledge and expertise. Again, you can see the subcategories within each of those pillars. So hopefully this is giving you ideas of how these pillars work and help, again, create content within each of these 4 pillars. We're going to explore this more, we're not done yet. But when you have the right pillars, you will never run out of episode ideas again, period. Not in 6 months, not in 6 years. And maybe that sounds like hyperbole, like that can't possibly be true. But I'm telling you, I've been using this system myself for years, and it's crazy how easy the ideas come once you have these content pillars established. Okay, but that's just one piece of it. I've talked to podcasters yesterday and today here at this conference who are like, I have no problem creating episode ideas. I've got content ideas out the wazoo. I'm still struggling week to week to get ahead on my production schedule. That's really where the grind is for me. So you have to have both of these systems in place. So we talked about the secret before. The solution is batch planning. Batch planning is the difference between podcasters who constantly scramble and those who build unstoppable momentum. And there is no middle ground. Like I said, we've worked with hundreds of clients over the last decade, and we see them fall into one of these 2 categories. One category is they're struggling week to week to get the episode and the content ready for production. And the other category is they're weeks ahead. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground. We want to get you from struggling into that weeks ahead category. There are 3 benefits to batching. Efficiency is the first one I want to highlight. It eliminates wasted setup time, which is something that people often think about, setting up equipment or doing that sort of thing. But the often overlooked other component of this efficiency is the mental switching. When you're batching, you're able to stay focused on one particular need at a time and therefore be more efficient with your time and your mental switching. It allows you to maintain peak energy and a streamlined workflow that turns your podcast from a weekly burden into a powerful system. The second benefit is quality. Remember we were talking about Suzanne a minute ago? Like, she's putting out content, but she feels like it doesn't represent her best and it's not helping her audience in the way that she wants it to. So batching ensures every episode reflects your absolute best, capturing peak performance, consistent delivery, and prepared content, not rushed content, that positions you as the expert. Remember, that was one of Suzanne's goals, to be the content or the authority, the leader in her space, right? The third benefit is consistency. Creates an unbreakable publishing schedule. It keeps you weeks ahead with emergency episodes ready. This is huge. So that your audience gets reliable content, even when life throws curveballs. Life will throw curveballs. Your guest will cancel. You will get sick. Your kid will get sick. Your dog will have to go to the vet. Something will happen. Or I don't know, maybe you want to take a vacation. What happens when all of those happen? When life throws you curveballs, oftentimes we see podcasters miss an episode that week. They're late with the release. Batching will get you weeks ahead so that when curveballs happen and bricks hit you upside the head, you're able to sidestep those and move on, and your audience is none the wiser because you're prepared for it, okay? So, the system, how am I doing on time, by the way? Is there a time count? Okay, excellent, all right. The system is what I want to spend the rest of our time talking about today, and we've got a whole toolkit for you, as I said. So these templates and systems, they aren't suggestions. If you really want to get ahead of the game, where you're weeks ahead, you're creating your best content for your audience, there's no compromise here. And these are your escape route from content chaos into the podcast that commands attention and converts listeners into fans. When I say fans, I'm not talking about like the celebrity type of fans. I'm talking about a genuine podcast fan who loves you and adores you and your podcast because of the transformation and the quality of the content that you're providing them every week. That's what I'm talking about with a fan. That's what we all want. I don't know any, listen, I've been in this space for a long time. I've met a ton of podcasters, and I haven't met any of them that are successful who got into podcasting just to hear themselves talk and to fluff themselves up. Even Suzanne, who wants to become an authority in her space, she also is trying to transform and improve the lives of her listeners, right? And that's why all of us got into this. That's why you're here investing your time and your money in this conference this week, is so that you can help the lives of your audience. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what a fan is, and that's what we all strive for. So there's a 30-day action plan. Remember, I told you you're going to be able to take action today. But I tell you what, let me back up just here. I don't want to get into this yet. I want to tell you about what you're going to get in the toolkit. I've got it on the last slide, but I want to go ahead and share it. The toolkit is going to give you two primary things, a PDF and a Google Sheet. The PDF is the foundational building blocks of your podcast. Some of this you may have already done, but just in case, I want to make sure you have these resources. The first one is, what is your podcast mission statement? The second is a tool that will help you identify your target listener. The third is a tool that will help you identify what your unique selling proposition is for your podcast. Let's take Suzanne, for example. She's not the only marketing podcast out there by a long shot. So what makes her unique? That's what that tool will help you establish. And then the fourth is helping you establish your content pillars, okay? That's in the PDF. The second resource you're going to get is a Google Sheet. And this is great because the Google Sheet, you can install the app on your phone. Anytime you get an idea, middle of the night, shopping, waiting the kids in the school line, wherever it is, you can open up your phone, pop in your idea into your pillar spreadsheet, and you're never going to lose an idea, okay? And so that spreadsheet is going to have a tab for each of your pillars. It's going to have so you can ideate within that. It's going to have a batch scheduler. So you can put in all the tasks that comprise getting an episode created from idea all the way through publishing. And it's going to give you a place where you can figure out what that schedule looks like for you. It's called a batch scheduler. And then the other piece of that is a content calendar. So now you can take things from the pillars into the content calendar and check how they are progressing through the entire life cycle of your episodes. So you're getting those. That's what the foundation toolkit is that you're getting at the end of our session here. So let's talk about how you're going to implement that. Week one is your content pillar development. You'll take that PDF and you'll develop your content pillars. Week two, you're creating a backlog of episodes. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take one pillar at a time. Take 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and sit and ideate on that one pillar and its subcategories. The ideas may come easy at first, then you may feel like you hit a roadblock. Keep at it. More ideas will come. Before you know it, you'll have 10 ideas, 15 ideas. And then the next day or the next week, however quickly you want to go through it, you'll take that next pillar and do the same thing. And the next day or the next week, again, however quickly you want to go through it. By the end of it, you'll have done 4 pillars. You'll have easy 15 ideas per pillar. And I grew up in Oklahoma. We have one of the worst education systems in the country. But if I do my math right, 15 ideas times 4 pillars is 60 ideas. 52 weeks in a year, you've got a year's worth of content or more without even trying. And so that's what that is going to help you do in week 2. Week 3, create and document your systems using the spreadsheets that I've given you. And week 4, you're going to record your first batch. Multiple episodes. Maybe it's 2 episodes, maybe it's 3. It doesn't matter. Multiple episodes. You're ahead of the game from where you are right now. At the end of the first 30 days, they should be focused on establishing, a firm foundation using the proven assets in the toolkit. And then we go to the next 30 days. You take what you learned in that first 30, you make some tweaks. The next week, guest outreach. That'll make more sense when you dig into the spreadsheet. Week 7, record that second batch. Now you should be 4 episodes, or 3 at least. Okay, we're getting ahead. This is great. We're feeling good. Week 8, expand those into CTAs. Again, the spreadsheet includes the CTA information. At the end of 60 days, you've completed 2 batch cycles, and you are nearly a master of your new content system. You can feel the tide turning. You're ahead of the game. Now, 90 days. This is leading up to 90 days. You're going to evaluate again. What did you learn from those first 60 days? Tweak your process. More advanced strategies in week 10. Week 11, your third batch is getting recorded. And week 12, you're going to ideate some more. I know we created a year's worth of episodes, but some of those episodes are going to suck. You're going to look at them and go, what was I thinking? Or maybe something's changed. Keep adding episodes. Every 90 days, pause, evaluate a pillar, create more episodes. And that's how you stay ahead of the game, okay? Within 90 days, you will have transformed your systems, and your overwhelming podcast chaos is going to be turned into a streamlined professional growth engine that amplifies your expertise. Okay, here's the QR code. Some of you are sitting at tables or walking around. You can hear my voice. You can't see the QR code. It's propodcastsolutions.com, propodcastsolutions.com/PM25. That will get you the spreadsheet and the PDF, the whole toolkit. I'll be following up with some emails, asking you how you're doing, inviting you to give me your progress. I'll critique it. I will answer every email you have, okay? And I want to hear how you're doing, okay? So you'll be getting some emails over the next few weeks. I know we're out of time. Some of you have questions. I'm going to step right over here. I'll take all the time we need to answer every question you have, okay? Thank you.